All right, so oh yeah, so when I was on my quest, right, to look for, I guess, like my answers,
Mm.
um, been to like every church pretty much, been to like, all the local ones, and then read about the religions and all that stuff. And then one of them, like we talked about, was like, well, I don't even know what it's called, but I know people call it a satanic church, but it's
Hmm.
not called a satanic church, but
Yeah.
I forgot what it's called. But basically, I had a friend, he had free will tattooed on his arm and on his leg, pretty much like kind of all over the place. But he basically said that it's like your god is Satan, and he gives you, I guess, powers and and everything about the book, like their Bible and like their teachings, is like you're a god and you're free to do what you want, pretty much. And I
Mm.
remember when he showed me the book for the first time, I even forgot what that's called, but it was just weird. It was like a weird vibe because I got, like we talked about energies, like
Hmm.
elephant in the room, and like you don't even have to talk. But yeah, when he pulled that out, it was just really weird. I don't know if it was weird, like it was definitely weird, like I didn't have a good feeling, but it was also like a curiosity weird, like a like I kind of want to read it just to see what's in it, you know,
Mm.
like see what it's teaching.
That's crazy because, like, I don't know. I mean, I feel the same way that there's like, I mean, obviously, I don't say it's energy, I think it's like spiritual, but that the idea that you felt that's just the weirdest part, because I think people do that in like, I think most people can say like they've been to a point where like something's off, but they can't explain it. It's like, it's not a physical thing. It's not like you get goosebumps and you're like, oh, I got the magic sense, spider sense or whatever. But it's like, I don't know. It's, you can feel it's like this. It's like it feels like part of you, but it's a different part of you than you're used to. I guess I think is how I'd say it.
Mm. Actually talking about like because that dude told me that you would be able to, what is it called? Astral project
Yeah.
out of yourself. Have you ever had like a dream like that to where like you're out of your body?
No, no, I don't. But I know, you remember Mr. Rios? Did you ever have Mr. Rios in high school for Spanish?
No, but I didn't have Spanish class actually in high
Okay,
school. I
because
don't think
he
so.
he told a story one time. He used to astral project. Like he told us that like in class. I didn't know what it was called at the time though. He's like, basically he said his brother used to do it, and he like told him how to do it. And he said, you cover, you curl up in your bed. You just like repeat, I want to die until like you fall
What
asleep
the
or something.
hell?
Yeah, yeah, like creepy stuff like that. And then so he did that, and then he said like he opened his eyes and he like just shot up out of the ceiling, and then went to the room next to him to see what his like roommate was doing or something like that. And like he's like afterwards he came back to his body. He came and said, "Hey, I saw you doing this with this girl or whatever." And he's like, "What? How did you know that?" Like so he told us a lot. Like he did a lot of
What
that
the
stuff. Like
heck?
yeah, it's creepy. It's creepy stuff. I mean, I think I don't know. It's hard to say whether or not it's true, but I think it's plausible. It's just weird. It's just creepy. Not something
Yeah.
I don't want to do.
Yeah, I don't know about that one about laying down saying you want to die. That's weird. I don't know, like that just weirds me out that a teacher's telling you that at school.
Yeah,
Like, yo, you're just a Spanish teacher, bro. What are you doing?
yeah, yeah. We learned more about his life than like he also believed in like past lives and stuff like that. So he's telling us all this crazy stuff. Yeah, I
Oh,
learned more about that than I do remember anything about Spanish.
dang, yeah, that's pretty weird. But actually, that what you explained that he said he was able to do, I guess, was it reminded me of a dream that I had a long time ago. I think I think I was like 15 or maybe 14. And the dream basically it was like I saw a ball of light just floating through my room. So like it started in the living room and
Hmm.
it went to my brother's room and then it went to me and my little brother's room and then to my parents' room and then it went all the way back to the living room and it disappeared. And I remember I remember when I had that dream, I was like, man, that's creepy. And then like I think like months later, it was like Thanksgiving or something, and my grandma was explaining her dream that she had. and she said that it was like Jesus or something like that. Like she asked God to protect us, and she said that he went to all of our rooms and prayed for
Hmm.
us. And I was like, okay, I'm like, there's no coincidence. I was like, all right, um, which room did he start? And she said, like the same order that I said. She said that he blessed the house in the living room first, and he went to my brother on the left side of his bed. Like she was like detail, and all
Hmm.
I saw was a ball of light in my dream. But hers, she said like it was, I guess, God or Jesus or something like that. And then when that happened, dude, I got a little freaked out. I was like, what?
It's not a dream at that point, huh?
Yeah, it was weird because it was just so like she got it on point. It was weird, but yeah, I don't know about that. The teacher though, the teacher kind of weird. That's weird.
No, dude, and he also told us another one about like they had like a pet bird and the bird died or something. Like it was all stiff and he picked it up and it was dead. And so he did some weird thing to it, and all of a sudden it comes back to life and flies away. I was like, I don't know what you're doing, Mr. Rios.
Yeah, like
Like,
Mr. Rios, I want to transfer classes.
he's like occultism or something. I don't know.
You're creeping me out, bro.
He's nice, but some of the stuff he talked about, I was like, this is, I don't know why you're dabbling in that, dude.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Like have you ever had like that conversation about I guess angels and demons, like how people perceive them, I guess. Because like I mean, to be totally honest, I've never seen anything. Like have you ever seen something? Like
No,
something weird?
no.
I've never seen anything weird. Like I've heard things like
Mhm.
I live in my room obviously, and then like I'll hear something behind me fall, and I know there's no possible way
Mhm.
that fell. Like how did that fall, you know? But then I just say like I remember one time a juice box fell in
Mhm.
my room. The juice box is heavy, it got juice in it, you know? So I'm like, there's no way I wasn't even close to the juice box and it fell. And then I
Mhm.
remember I picked it up and then I heard like a knock, like just
Mhm.
like a loud ass knock. And I got a little scared, but I remember my grandma, she told me, don't this is what she told me when I was little. She's like, don't ever um basically like if you feel like you're afraid of them, like it feeds them, something like that. Like it
All right.
feeds their dark energy or whatever. So she said, don't ever let your guard down when you feel a certain feeling, like that darkness, I guess. And so she told me like just know that you'll be okay and everything will stop. And I
Mhm.
remember like I got that weird feeling right when I picked up the juice box. I heard the knock. I felt the weird fucking like scary feeling, like I felt something weird in the room. And as dumb as it may sound, I just said get the fuck out of here to nothing. I said it to nothing. I didn't see anything. I just said get the fuck out of here. And I turned around and I just kept working on music and then that was it.
Mhm.
Like I think that was like the only time that I actually I guess I heard something, but I felt weird. I felt really weird.
No, I've had one. That was only one time for me. It was, I don't know why, for whatever reason, I was like home alone, like for a long time. And then I was with my cat and we were just sitting on like the couch, like whatever. And then I went to my room and he went with me. So it's like just me and him. We're the only people in the house. And all of a sudden I heard, what's it called? Like not a drawer, but like the cabinet. I just heard it slam shut, like boom. I was like, what the heck? So I go over there, but there's nothing there. And like I didn't leave the cabinet. There's no way. Like, where's the force coming from? That's like, that's all I heard. And I was like, I don't know
Yeah.
about this, but like, I remember my mom. I think she told me a story about like she had like a coworker or something, and then like she got in a car accident, and she was like not feeling so good, and some guy came to like help her and check on her, see if she was okay. Like opened the door and made sure like, hey, don't come out yet. You're not. It's not safe. You're on the middle of the road or whatever. And then so when her friend recovered, she asked like some of the people around there, like, hey, did you see where that guy went? I wanted to thank him. And they were like, there was no guy there. Like, what are you talking about? It was just you. So like
Mm,
there's that kind of stuff. And then in Christianity, um, Paul says that, be careful because you might entertain angels unaware. Like they're there and you just don't, they can like pop in and out and you don't even know. But,
dang. That actually reminds me of another story of my grandma. Because my grandma, she's like really religious.
mhm.
And every time that I've tried church, it was always with my grandma. But pretty much she told me a story that, well, she told my whole family the story. Like she was, she I guess she just joined a new church, and one of the ladies, I might mess up where the lady's from, but I think it was like her friend or something, but she didn't go to church, something like that, and she wanted to join the church. Basically, the story is that my grandma's at home, and this lady, that's her friend, I guess, some relation to the church, that she goes to her house and she knocks on the door, and then my grandma opens the door and she's like, "Oh, hi," and the lady just starts crying, like crying, like
Hmm.
crazy crying. And my grandma's like, "What is wrong?" And the lady tells my grandma, "I came to do wrong to you, but the man in white won't let me." And then
Dang.
my grandma was like, "What do you mean?" And then I guess she just kept crying and like sobbing, crying, and just walked away. And I was
Dang.
thinking, when I remember when my grandma told me that, I was like, "Yo, that's kind of creepy, man. Like, what do you mean, a man in white behind you? Like, what?"
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, it's weird.
Yeah, dude, it's like, I mean, whether you think it's like energy, some people are like, oh, it's aliens, but like with like angels and demons, like the spiritual stuff going on, like the Bible talks about it a lot. Like there's just, it's like if there's, say there's like a war, not like a war going on, but like not like fighting over territory. It's like they're fighting over humans. Like that's the focus. Like God loves humans and Satan hates them. So he's like, he's trying to fight over our soul and God's trying to fight over our soul kind of thing. So it's like, there's that kind of weird stuff going on, like that we can't see it.
Yeah,
It's like the spiritual stuff going on. And you're like, you don't like, she doesn't even know. Like your grandma's like, what do you like? She does. She's like, oh, it's a random lady right here, no big deal. But like, the angels are like, hey, this isn't right. We gotta do something about this. But
yeah.
it's the weird
That's
stuff.
what then my grandma, I think she told me that later on she found out that that lady was a witch, I guess.
Oh,
Something like
dang.
that. Like she was like into that culture, something like that. I don't know. I don't even know
Weird
what,
stuff.
like, like, I guess, like I've heard stories, right? Like, oh, if a owl lands on top of your house, someone in your family is gonna die.
Uh,
And I always thought like that was fake until it happened. Like it really happened.
really.
Yeah, we legit, there was a big owl in our backyard. And then I told my mom like, "Oh, get the camera," because I was following a bat. It was kind of dark. I was
Hmm.
following a bat like in the backyard, and then it flew up to where like the wires are. And then I looked up and I was like, "What the heck is that?" It was like a big black kind of, because it was in the dark, like just
Hmm.
bigger. And then I put my flashlight on it, and it was an owl. It just turned around and looked at us. And then my dad was like, "Oh my God, it looks so nice." And he called my mom. My mom came out. My mom went back inside to get a picture, like to take a picture of it.
Hmm.
Right when she walked outside, it just took off like fast, like whoo, took off. And then the next day, my great grandma passed away. Yeah, it was really weird.
Maybe, huh?
Like
Yeah.
all these like stories, like I didn't even think that was even real until like it happened. I was like, whoa, that's kind of scary. But
I think with like witchcraft and stuff, that's like that's like people trying to deal with something that's they shouldn't be dealing with. It's
yeah,
like you're because like the stuff you if you ever like because they're like real witches, like they actually like whether or not you believe they're real, like they believe it anyways. And they do like creepy stuff, like they wait till the middle of the night, they're in the darkness of the room, they're like cutting
yeah,
themselves and putting like incense and like doing like all these crazy ritual stuff. It's like dude, that's like dark, that's dark. Like
yeah,
tapping into something you shouldn't be tapping into.
yeah. I feel like we're just magnets to an extent. Like you choose to what you tap into, and then
Mm-hmm.
you absorb anything that you allow yourself to absorb. So like obviously, if you're a real big church person or religious person, then you let all those good energies and I guess spiritual stuff, like everything you believe, it makes you feel good. Like I've never had a bad experience when I was at church except for maybe like one time
Mm-hmm.
where I didn't what was it? Oh, it was like, oh, you had to drink the blood of Jesus, right? Something like that. And they were walking around with cups and it was like a little cup of like wine and they said this is his blood.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to drink it. Like I was just there kind of observing. And so when this guy came with the cups, I was like, oh no, thank you. Like, I appreciate it. And he looked at me like, he just gave me that ugly look, like, why are you here? Like, get out of here. You know, he gave me, and everyone
Mm,
down the hall, like the aisle, they all looked
yeah.
at me like, why are you here? Like,
Oh
get
my
out of here.
gosh.
They gave me all that, like, that look, like, why, like, what are you doing?
Mhm.
And, but I've always had a good experience. Like, I don't know, church, like the music, just, I don't even know. I don't want to say it basic, but, just the vibe. It's a really good feeling. Like every time I went to church, it's a really good feeling. It's just the part when I guess the pastor starts talking about stuff. It's just I don't know. It just doesn't catch me.
I got you. I think like the way I see it, like especially through like the lens of Christianity, it's like there's like a God-shaped hole in our heart kind of thing. It's like everyone's always searching for because everyone always is. They're always searching. Even atheists are like they want to know something. Like where's the origin of life? Like what's our purpose? And so like I think everybody always looks for it. So like when they go to like say go to church, like oh it kind of fills that hole a little bit. Like oh now that's why I like it because it's like it's offering that purpose I'm looking for that thing that like nothing else can fill. The issue is sometimes people fill it with something else. Like oh I'm gonna go fill like the Satanist people like they're like oh
Yeah.
get Lucifer in here. Like no dude you don't want that. But like that's why I see it. Like everyone just has that longing. Like okay I want to know what am I here for? What's beyond this material world? Because especially people who like the richest people in the world, they end up committing suicide because they made it to the top and there's nothing else. Like what's more? Like I'm gonna die and people are gonna remember me, but what does that do for me? Like I don't, you know. And then people at the very bottom where it's like I got nothing. What's the point? There has to be more to this life. So like, and then they have the people in between are like kind of, you know, they're content with where they are. But I think everybody has that part of them where eventually, especially when they get old, they're like, okay, there has to be more. And I think people kind of
Yeah.
realize that they just don't know what to do with it.
Yeah. It's really weird. Like, I used to work at a nursing home, and so I would like help cook a little, and then I would do the dishes and set up like the tables for all the older people.
Mm-hmm.
And so I would get a lot of outlooks on life because they're like 90 plus, you know what I'm saying? Or my bad,
Yeah.
like 80 plus. And I remember what was his name? Magic Marvin, the marvelous man. He's famous.
Really?
He's a really old school magician. I think they called him the light bulb man,
Mm-hmm.
or oh, Mr. Electric. Yeah, Mr. Electric. He's like, I think he was 92. Unfortunately I think he passed during
Mm-hmm.
COVID, but I'm not too sure. I think he did though. But pretty much I would talk to them, right? Because they tell me like, they'll be like, hey, good morning, and they'll be like, yeah, it is good. I'm still alive. I'm still here. And I'm like, yeah, that's good. And they would tell me like, why are you here? And I'm like, well, this is my job. And they're like, well, don't be here too long because you don't want to waste your time with old people. Like they were just straight up honest. Like they were like, go
Mm-hmm.
live your life. Like don't serve us. Like do what you want. Like I talked to I think his name was Jack. He was a Air Force veteran, I think for like 18 years or something. And he would tell me all the time, like, you're so young, you need to get out of here. He's like, I could tell you don't like it here. Don't do this. He's like, do you want to regret things in life? And I'm like, no. And he's like, well, I regret a lot of things. And he was like, so you better do, they would always tell me stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
But like hearing stories about like old people and like what their perspectives of life, like one lady, Maria, she went to the hospital like 4 times while I was there. Like she was already gonna die, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
And every time she came back, they were like, "Oh, congratulations, you made it back." And she's like, "I'm ready. I
Yeah.
didn't want to come back." And I'm like, "Damn, like really?" She's like, "I lived a full life. My kids are okay. I'm ready." And I'm like, "Damn, Maria." I'm right there giving her oatmeal and shit. I'm like, "Shit." But it's crazy to hear like other people's perspectives, like when they feel like they've lived their life and they're kind of waiting for it. It's kind
Mm-hmm.
of weird. And I think being around them it always gave me the drive to do more. Like I already had drive, but now I had even more because I didn't want to be like them because they would always talk about their regrets.
Mm-hmm.
Then I'm like, yo, imagine if I'm 90 and I'm regretting all this shit. Like hell no. Like I'd rather I'd rather be 90 and just regret that maybe I tried it and it was a bad idea, like
Hmm.
at least I tried stuff. But yeah, Magic Morvan, he was super like that. He was like, you gotta do this, you gotta do that, go start a business. You're young, do this. Like he would always tell me like
Mm.
give me pointers and all that. And it's cool because he would always do magic tricks while I'm like serving him. But
Dang.
yeah, I mean life is I feel like I was telling my friend the other day, I was like, yo, I feel like life is made to be stressful, but I think the way like we were born into this obviously. So you were born into your family and like you're born into your situation.
Hmm.
And so I feel like just I guess how everything has been running, how it's already been, it's set up to not to like for failure, but it's just stress. Like you grow up and you're like, man, why do I gotta do that? Like everyone has those like
Yeah.
why do I gotta pay taxes? Okay. Well, I was just born here. Like what you start thinking about like, well, why do I gotta get a job? Like all this stuff. And I feel like it's just a lot for one person to handle as they're growing, especially when like the school system doesn't really prepare you for that. Like I feel
Hmm.
like they left a lot of things out. They didn't teach me how to like apply for a job. They didn't teach me how to do my taxes, how to get a
Hmm.
car loan, how to, simple like like the starter stuff, open up like a retirement fund for yourself. Like you know what I'm
Exactly.
saying?
Yeah.
They didn't tell you any of that. So it's like right when you graduate, yeah, you did it. And then bam, you got all these things you got to figure out. Insurance,
Hmm.
and it's just a lot. So I was telling them I feel like life is just made to be stressful. Imagine if we didn't have to do anything and no one was like what do you call it? Like selfish and you just took what you needed, not what you wanted.
Hmm.
Life would be different. Like just existing itself could be hard.
Yeah. Well, like it's like yeah, like life's like a test, dude. Like you get born into it, and it's like either you pass or you fail. There's no in between. Like you have no choice. You have to take the test.
I know it's crazy, huh?
And then like school's like, hey, we'll get you ready for college. Like, well, what if I don't want to go to college? And what about after college? And college doesn't prepare you for like college, like specific. Like, okay, we're going to give you the skills for the job you want, but we're not going to tell you how to get it. We're not going to tell you like I don't know.
I
They
know.
got the wrong ideas, I think, dude. But yeah, they're like I don't know if like if everybody was nice to each other, like he said, like everything was just you only take what you need, not what you want. We would have all the food wasted. Wouldn't have all the piles of trash and all that stuff. You wouldn't have like all these, you wouldn't have to worry like you could leave your door open or unlocked or like whatever, like no big deal. You don't have to worry about people stealing your stuff. You don't need to buy logs. Like we'd probably already
Yeah.
be on Mars right now because everyone's like, hey, let's all work together to go to Mars, whatever. But it's
And
like the base human instinct is I want to do what I want to do. Like it's survival. And so even if it's not survival, it's like I'm still selfish. Like little kids when they're born, they're like, oh, I don't want to share. This is my toy. I'm
oh
like, no, you gotta
yeah.
share it to you gotta teach them how to share. And
Yeah.
like, did you eat that cookie? No. Like you gotta teach them to tell the truth. You gotta like everybody wants to do what's selfish. So it's like some people never grow out of that. They're like, okay, I'm always gonna stay selfish. And so like the world's never gonna get good because nobody people are like, I don't want it to be good. I want it to serve me. I don't want to serve other people. So it's like it's a learned behavior to do good. Like some people are like, oh, I think humans are inherently good. I'm like, you're just crazy. I'm sorry, but like when things go bad, people don't go, oh, let's help each other. When things go bad, people are like, get out of my way. I care about myself. Like they're not inherent. They can do good stuff, but
Yeah,
inherently, it's like it's the bad. You got to learn to be good.
I know. It's crazy. Like how you said a little kid, like they talk about like, it's my cookie or whatever. They don't want to share a cookie. But I feel like when you're born, you're a clean slate. Like you're just what do you call it? Like you're innocent basically.
Mm-hmm.
Like you have no right, you have no wrong, you don't know what is what. But I feel like everything that's your first impression, I feel like that's gonna carry on for the rest of your life because you start learning right when you come out. You know what I mean? Like, what if you come
Mm-hmm.
out right when you come out, and then like your mom and your dad are mad at each other? Maybe
Mm-hmm.
who knows? Like someone else is screaming in the next room, and that scares you. And then like later on, you correlate to something else. And then cartoons. I feel like cartoons mess with kids, bro, because like You ever watch the old cartoons that you watch when you grow up?
Yeah,
Bro,
they're
what
crazy.
like all these like sex innuendos, all these like
Hmm.
weird like messages and like I don't know. I just feel like that all plays a part, especially when you're a little kid. And then the whole thing about like it's like they were teaching you to hate your siblings or something
Hmm.
like the whole kid cartoon where like oh the older brother is like embarrassed about the little sister or the little brother like get away from me and all that stuff.
Yeah,
Like I feel like cartoons is your kid is just a reflection of what you let them watch. Like it's just like if you're a weird kid, you're probably watching Etta and Eddie or some shit. Like you're you know what I mean? Like you're just jumping all over the place because the cartoon and everything. And unfortunately, a lot of families just leave you there to just
yeah.
watch that because they don't want to hear you complain or whatever. I don't know.
That's the problem because it's like I don't think it's always the fault of the cartoon. Like some cartoons, like you're right, dude, they got some weird stuff. Like that's gonna
No,
mess you
yeah,
up.
it's
But
definitely
other
the
stuff,
parents too.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's like if video games. You know, some people are like, oh, video games make people violent. They're gonna shoot up schools. Like, no, but like if the parents just say, here, play GTA 5 when you're like 7 years old and just play it, and then they don't talk about how this is a game or how this is wrong. Don't do it in real life. Or they don't help them deal with their anger issues. They're like, okay, just play the game and get away from me. Then yeah, that's gonna affect them because that's the only thing teaching them. So it's like you got to have the you can have the video game too, but you got to teach them the right and wrong still. You can't just like it's not a substitute.
Oh
And some people
yeah,
treat it like a substitute.
yeah. It's really weird. And like I've noticed little kids are they're more smarter now, obviously, because they got smartphones and they know how to do
Yeah.
everything and download stuff. But I've noticed maybe it's always been like that, but maybe I'm just noticing that because I don't see a lot of kids. You know what I'm saying? I don't really have a
Yeah.
lot of little kid family members. And if I do, I don't really see them. But from what I remember, my little cousins, they're just cussing up a storm, like 3 years old, just saying all these bad words, and I'm just like, man, it it's amazing to me that you've made it 3 years of life, and you already know all the words you're not supposed to say.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? It's like I don't know, it's so weird,
Hell,
but
it's like
it's
they
too bad.
got like when I was growing up, I had we had the internet obviously, but it's like you could just go on the
Yeah,
computer to use it. But now it's like, hey, let me use your laptop, and let me use let me use your tablet, let me use your phone. So it's like
yeah,
for me, it's like for us, it was like harder to like learn that stuff. For them, it's like do it right away, do whatever you want.
yeah. Have you ever seen a 3-year-old go on an iPhone and play Angry Birds quick? They know how to skip the
Mhm.
ads real quick. You know what I mean? Like, it's just weird, man. It's just so weird. I think they're gonna be way smarter, obviously, because they just know things at a younger age. But bringing it back to, I guess, religion and spirituality. When I was talking about like the good feeling of church,
Mhm.
and then like a couple like weird things that happen at church. I don't know if I got the wrong impression, but I remember being in church and they were saying, man, what did they say? They said something like God is like, or Jesus, I guess, is like, I'm the only one, there's no other.
Mhm.
So it's like, you believe me or you go the other way or something like that.
Yeah.
And I remember when they told me that, well, when they said that to everybody and everybody was like clapping or something, I don't know. It was like a movie. And I was like, man, it's kind of weird. Like that, I don't know, to a certain extent, the way they explain how God or Jesus is, it
Mhm.
sounds scary. Like he doesn't sound like a good person if he's like you follow me, you do what I say.
Yeah.
It just sounds weird. Maybe they didn't deliver it right, or I don't know. It's just weird.
Well, the way it is like because okay, so yeah, some people do get the wrong impression like that. Like, dang, he's evil. Like, why does he want me to do this? Why can't I live my own life? But they're like, I don't know. When you don't know too much, I guess, like because that's how I kind of felt. Like, especially look at the Old Testament. Like, dang, God's angry all the time. He just kills people,
Yeah,
and he like shoots
yeah,
lightning down. He's like, what the heck? You're bad. Or like even like sometimes in the Old Testament, you'll have like um do you have like Babylon or like some nation that comes against Israel, and God says, "I sent them to fight you, but I'm gonna punish them for fighting you," kind of thing. Like he's like,
what the heck?
yeah, it sounds weird. Like it just when you read that, but then like you have to look at the whole context of the Bible to like figure that stuff out. And so it's like he it's not like he like for that instance, that part, he didn't push Babylon to do it. Like Babylon was already wanting to do it. Like they hated Israel already. Like God had nothing to do with that. And so Israel was like, yeah, we hate you too, God. And so he's like, okay, fine. Like I'm gonna let Babylon do that, but I'm still good. They're still gonna everyone's gonna be punished. Like it's not just I'm punishing them for hitting like hurting you because that's wrong, but I'm also punishing you for being evil. Like so it just sounds weird at first, but you get the context. You're like, yeah. But like with that, um, yeah, because it's cause, like sometimes I think we put people in a box. Like for me, like you say, oh, Josh is the artist. Like my parents, like, oh, he's the artist, or all my family members. Oh, but that's not all I am. Like I like to draw, but I also like to, like I said, like I do ink wash. I like to do pencil. I like to, sometimes I just like to listen to music or, so I like to talk to people about stuff. I like to research and study. So like, there's more to me than just being an artist. And like, there's also more to God than just being angry or just being loving. Like we're all multi-part beings where like we have happiness and we have sadness, and so you can't just like say. So I think sometimes they're like, oh, I thought God is love. Isn't that what he's supposed to let us do whatever we want? But love is not letting you do whatever you want. Like if you let a child have whatever they want, they're going to be mean and greedy. So you got like, there's the love of I want what's best for you. And sometimes that means I got to do some stuff that you're not going to like. That doesn't mean I'm not loving. It's just, you don't love it, but I still love you, kind of thing.
But yeah, I feel like it's like a definite. I guess if you compare us as growing humans as like a baby, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like every day, I guess you would go to church to like perfect yourself for the next day, like try to be better than you were yesterday,
Mhm.
or try to just if you're a bad person, change yourself to a good person, or because it's up and down. Like obviously, like people who go to church, they get mad too. I bet they cuss up a storm too. Like
Mhm.
so I don't know, but man, you had a good point, and I forgot for a second. Um, and I was gonna talk about it, but I guess leading to my next question, while you were growing up and going to church, was it ever like obviously you said you questioned it, when you
Mhm.
got older and you started asking questions, and you said you had like good experiences, like they didn't really like shun you,
Yeah.
but did you ever see like people fall off? Like
Yeah.
consistently you see people and then like, oh, I grew up with them, and then like over time they just stop showing up, and then like I guess the new people came in because like I went to church I think for honestly, bro, maybe like a week straight.
Mhm.
Yeah, maybe like a week straight, and it wasn't it was just it was a weird experience because I went with like Frankie one time,
Mhm.
and then I went with my friend Danny, and I went a lot with my grandma. But I remember one time I went with my grandma, and somebody threw a donut at me. It
What
was weird.
the
Yeah, I was sitting down, and I guess you're supposed to get on your knees and like pray or something.
heck? Mhm.
So I got on my knees, I put the thing down, and I just got on my knees and I sat there, and a donut hit me on like the shoulder. It was so weird. But yeah, I don't know. But yeah, as far as like growing up and everything, does it ever change like I guess your family's perspective or your perspective as seeing like maybe not lacking faith, but like seeing other people around them maybe change their thought and go somewhere else, or like, or actually, have you ever thought about converting religion, like
Yeah,
changing
okay.
to a
So like
different one?
that's a lot of questions. But yeah. So like I've seen it like in when I was in high school, there was like a big high school class. Or not when I was in high school, when I was in middle school, I think. There was a big high school class. So like oh bunch of kids. And then by the time I went to high school, by the end of it, like when I was a senior, there's like 3 kids in that class. And all the kids who were in high school, they just left. Like they were done and their families left. And so I've seen a lot of people like come and then you kind of see they don't come as often, they don't care as much, and you kind of see them like around the town doing stuff like what are you doing, like what's going on, and all of a sudden they're just gone. I don't think it affected me that much or my family. I mean in a sense like you feel bad and like you try to reach out to them like hey what's going on, or you're like what's going on in their life that's changing them like this much, but like it never made me go oh this isn't real or anything, like because I personally, I'm not affected too much by what other people believe. Like for me, it's like I want to know personally. I don't believe it because my parents believe it. Like I went to church because my parents took me to church. But now, like after like once I was like in college, now I do it because I believe it's true, not because other people follow it or they hold on to it. Like that can kind of affect you, but not in the sense that it makes me fall away from that. But converting, yeah. So like I remember I don't know when it was, like when I was 20 or something, maybe when I turned 21. There's these guys that came to the college, they're like Church of Christ people, and they're like, hey, we're having a Bible study, you should come. And I was like, no, I don't want to come to that. That's I'm busy. Like, I don't know, I don't want to deal with them. I was like,
Oh, I
whatever.
think we've talked about this before.
And
Go on.
maybe
Go ahead. Go ahead.
yeah. So I talked to them, and then I left. And then another day, I started walking. Some other person say, "Hey, you want to have a Bible study?" I was like, "Okay, this is two in a row." But so I talked to him a little bit about like my church and everything, and then I left. And then one day, I talked to one guy, and he was like the pastor guy, or whatever. He's like, "Hey, you want to come to Bible study?" I was like, yeah, maybe I might." And then, but before I left home, he's like, "Hey, you want to come to Bible?" He forgot who I was and asked me again. I was like, "Okay, I think God's trying to be like, you got to do something here. Like, there's too many people like coming to my like." I kept on putting it off, and it's like, you got to do this now, kind of thing. That's what it felt like. And so like I went to the Bible study, and they're really nice. And I was like, okay, these guys are pretty cool. And then like, hey, afterwards, they went to everyone individually, like, hey, let's do independent like studies. And I was like, okay, I'll do that. And then when I went with them, they're like, what do you believe? And I told them what I believe, and they're like, okay, well, this is what the Bible says. And they showed me some stuff I've never seen before, like, or maybe I've seen it, but I didn't see it the way they were pointing it out. And I was like, what the heck is this? Like, I never noticed that. And so I just kept on talking with them a lot of times. Like, I don't know, 5 or 6 times I met with them. And like the whole time I was like, I don't know if this is true or not, because what I've always believed, I was like, this is what I thought was true. And they're showing me something that's completely the opposite. Like basically what it was is, in Christianity, there's, you believe in Christ, right? You put your faith and trust in him, you're saved, and then that's how you get to heaven. But they're like, okay, you gotta believe, but you also gotta be baptized. Like there's this verse right here that says, be saved and be baptized. I'm like, oh, I don't know, I don't know about this. So like I was literally considering, like, maybe if this is like, basically what I did, it was like I was thinking, okay, if this is right, I'm gonna follow it. Like I want to know it's true. I don't care. And it was kind of a scary thought, because I was like, what if I believe this is true? Like, what if I look into it and it actually is true? It actually holds up. And then I have to tell my family I can't go to the same church as you anymore. I got to say goodbye to all my friends. I like, what if they don't like, what if they don't accept that? Like, what if I, they kick me out of the house or something, like, how am I going to, that tension that's going to come from doing something different, converting, kind of thing like that, even though they were still, Christian, but it was like completely different beliefs. Like there's two different ways to get to heaven, basically. So like, yeah, I considered it, but once I studied into it and looked into it, I was like, okay, this doesn't actually hold up. So, I guess I lucked out on that sense, that I didn't have to give it up. But like, I mean, even now I would convert if what I believe didn't hold up. Like if someone said, what about this? And I'm like, I looked into it and it's true. I'm like, well, what's true is true. But I've already done a whole bunch of research, so I guess you have to show me something new. But yeah, I've considered it before.
Oh, man, when you talked about the dude who was coming and asking you to do Bible study, I remember when I was at college, I think we hung out a couple of times in that
Yeah.
building, and that's always where they would approach me. That building, I forgot what the
Yeah.
building's called, like the old
Yeah, it's
library or
gone. Yeah,
something.
it's a library now. It used to be the Hill or whatever.
Oh, the Hill,
Yeah.
yeah. And so I remember in the morning, I think that's why, man, I don't know, like it's odd, but I've just had not very good experiences as far as like outside of church when
Mhm.
people try to get me to go to church. Because I remember like one dude, he came up, he's like a tall dude, he's like a
Mhm.
basketball player. He was like, yo man, you want to go to Bible study? We're having one at like 4 or something. And I was like, no thanks. I was being nice.
Mhm.
Like I got class at 4 or something like that, so I don't have to go.
Yeah.
And I remember he walked away, he turned around and he's like, you don't have anything going on at 4, huh? And I was like, yeah, dude, I got class. He's like, well, what class do you have? And I already have my answer, because I,
Uh,
I was just like, man, like, just leave me alone. I got to take the bus home at 4. Like, and I remember he was like, oh, okay, it's like that then. And I'm like, what do you mean? And he's like, you don't have an hour of your time to talk to God. And I'm like, what the heck? He's like, you don't want to learn, you don't want to do any of that. And I'm like, I was just like, dude, can you just leave me alone? I'm trying to like eat my lunch or whatever. And then I remember he was like, okay, we'll see. And he just walked away. And the next day, bro, next day he's there again, doing the same
Dang.
thing. Like the first interaction was the same thing the next day. And then I went there the third time I was gonna sit by the hill. I was like, man, what if that dude comes and starts like telling me I'm not good enough, or I don't know. I just felt weird. Like I started thinking about like, man, I don't want to sit there. So then I sat where like the amphitheater is outside,
Mhm.
and he found me again.
He's been
And
looking for you.
yeah, like he was like, oh, I found you. He's like, look, man, just let me read this to you. And I remember he read it. I don't remember what it said or what he was telling me, but he read it to me, and he was like, look, I didn't mean to scare you off. Like just consider it. He's like, where you're sitting right now, that's where we do Bible study at 4. And then he left. But I was just like, man, like I felt like I was being stalked at like 12,
Yeah.
like this dude's trying to get me.
Yeah.
But I feel like sometimes the best way to for myself, the best way for me to get involved in anything is like just talk to me about it, but
Mhm.
don't like it doesn't work for me if you push it like at all. It doesn't work. Like it just like bam, like it's just
Mhm.
boom. Like if you press it on me, you lost all my attention. Like that's just me. I don't know. Like it's just like give me some time to consider, you know?
Mhm.
So weird. But
Yeah, it's because some people are like, well, okay, I know them specifically because I talked a lot to them, so I learned a lot about why they act the way they do and stuff like that. But like some people are like, for them, it's like, well, this is real. Like, why don't you believe it? And it's like, well, they don't believe it's real because like it took you time, but they don't realize that kind of stuff. They're like, dude, believe it right now, like it's real, or else, like, dude, calm down. Like you said, you could give them some time to consider, and especially when they do that, like, oh, really? You don't have time, do you? Like, you don't
yeah.
know. Like, some people, they think they have everything figured out, and it's like sometimes you don't. Like, sometimes you just don't know. Maybe people are busy. Maybe something happened in their life you just don't understand. And some people just kind of don't get that. They have to like they're zealous or they have like a lot of energy to do something, but they don't consider it to be nice or compassionate. They're
Yeah.
like angry at you for not wanting to do it.
Yeah, that's what he said. Because you said busy. That's what he said. I was like, oh, sorry, man, I'm busy. He's like, you're too busy for God.
Okay, my bad, my bad, right?
I was like, oh, my bad.
Okay, let me just go right now then. Yeah,
Yeah.
but
Oh,
like for them, because after talking to them, they do it because they have to. Like for them, it's not like a. I mean, it's religion. It's like they have to work it. Because like I was talking to them, like they're like, okay, if we don't go to church, if we don't share the Bible study with people, we're gonna die and go to hell. So like we have to do it. And I was like, what the heck? That's crazy. Like you said, that's not a nice God. That's God who's like, do this or else, you're gonna die. And like so it's like because I remember one time, the first time I went to Bible study with them, like independent, like I was talking to them about it and I had more questions to ask. So after we did the Bible study, I was like, hey, what about this? And he's like, I don't really want to talk right now. I'm done doing work. I just want to watch TV. And I was like, what? What do you like? Isn't this real to you? Like, don't you care? So it's like it's really weird because for them it's work. It's not. It's like Jehovah's Witness. Like they go out. If you ever watch a Jehovah's Witness, they take forever to walk from house to house because they have a certain amount of hours they have to do. Like eight. Like let's say they have to do like 2 hours a day, and so they like walk real slow because they don't actually care to talk to people. They just want to. They have to do it because they have to get to heaven. And so that's the weird thing because like I remember you said like yesterday you're like, oh, Nico, and you talked about like what does every religion have in common, you know and really if you look at it, there's superficial things that they have in common, like they have a god or something like that, some higher power, and they have like some kind of afterlife, right? And they have a system to get there. And if you look at every religion, because I studied like all of them, every religion is like you look at Islam, it's you got to follow the 5 pillars, right? You got to like pray 5 times a day, or 5 times a day, or 3 times a day, or whatever. And you have to pray before that prayer, and you have to pray after the prayer, and you have to make sure like you walk in with a certain like the left foot forward because Muhammad walked in with the left foot forward. You got to hold to the Quran and the Hadith.
oh
It's like all
man,
this crazy
that's
stuff.
a
And it,
lot.
yeah, and then even if you do that, the second caliphate who like came after Muhammad, his name was Abu Bakr. He said, even if I had one foot in heaven, I'd be afraid that Allah would cast me out because that's who he is. Like he has 99 names, and one of them is a deceiver. In the Quran, I think it is. It says, "You think men are deceitful? Like Allah is the greatest deceiver." I'm like, that's the God you serve. Like he's saying to work your butt off for me, And then even if you get here, I might just throw you out because I feel like it. So like it's all this work. And then in like Judaism, they have to like hold the laws of Moses. There's like 613 laws, and then they can't even do some of them
Damn.
because they don't have a temple to sacrifice. So it's like they're like, oh, I hope I get there. They have no assurance. And then in Hinduism, it's like, you gotta, you have karma and dharma and stuff like that. And so like you just wherever you're at right now, you're stuck. So you have to like be a good person, hope you get higher up on the ladder, and you keep on going until eventually, you break the cycle. But it's like you just work. It's just work, and you hope that you get a better cycle. You hope your good outweighs your bad. And then what is like Buddhism? You follow the eightfold path, and like you try to reach enlightenment, and then you're done. You break the cycle again. And then what's the like Catholicism? It's like the seven sacraments. You got to do the Lord's Supper or communion, and you got to come to mass, and you got to talk to the priest, and you better hope you don't die having done a sin because you're gonna go to hell again or purgatory. And when you're in purgatory, you better hope that it's like all this work you got to do, and it's work, work, work. And so you look at every religion, and religions are all just about work. And then when you look at biblical Christianity, like because there's people who chase like I'm a Christian, I'm Mormon, and they're like you gotta work, and then like Jehovah's Witness, we're Christian, but you gotta work, and then Catholics like we're Christian, you gotta work. But when Jesus says, he's like you can't work, it doesn't matter what you do. So like every other religion is like how can we be good enough to get to God? How can we work hard enough to get to heaven? And then Jesus comes and he says you can't work hard enough to get to heaven. He says there's nobody good. He says there's none good, no, not one. There's none righteous. They all have sinned and fall short of the glory of God, basically. He's like, God's perfect. God's at the super high standard level, and you can't reach that. So like the whole reason he gave like the 10 commandments and all the law was to show you can't reach it. And so Jesus comes, he does it, and he says, I reached it. I reached heaven. That's why he says, I'm the way, the truth, and the life, right? Or that's why he says, like, I'm the only way to God, because God said, you want to get to me, you got to be perfect. And man, like, obviously, we're not perfect, like we've all done something wrong, knowing it was wrong, we still did it anyways. That's sin, that's the wrong we did. So every other religion is like, how can you work to get there? And then Jesus says, you can't work to get there, so you just got to trust in me, kind of thing. So like, I don't know. but that's why people act that way. Like a lot of people you talk to, or you see them on stage, like a lot of these big super mega pastors, they're not doing it because they want to, or because they actually feel a conviction, or like in their heart they feel it's true. It's like I have to do it or else, because if I don't, I'm done. So like it's sad, but that's not, to me, that's not the God of love who's saying, hey, you can do whatever you want, just know what the consequences are. That's like, you better do this or else. Like that's not loving, because you're forcing them to do that. You're like turning them into robots. And real love is like, I want you to do this, but it's still your choice.
Man, that's a lot to take in.
I'm sorry, dude. I do a lot of studying.
No, that's all good. I mean, like, man, I stopped learning about all that a while ago. So to hear it all again, it's pretty refreshing, because I remember like how you said with like Allah and like the deceitful stuff and all that. Because I know a couple of my friends are actually Muslim, and they're just like, or Islam is Muslim, right?
Yeah,
it's the same thing, right?
Yeah,
but yeah,
you're Muslim if you're a part of Islam.
Oh, okay. Because yeah, like they said, like it's super strict and it's like a lot to do. But then there's other friends who are like, they're just like, yeah, I'm Muslim, but I don't do any of that. And I was like, okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, is there one for like you're not religious? Like what is it called?
Well, atheism or agnostic, I guess.
Because like
or spiritual, I guess. Spiritual, not religious.
Oh, okay. Because isn't like atheist, like you don't believe at all?
Yeah, kind of. Well, okay, so atheism is supposed to be like, I don't believe there is a God, but most people who are atheists kind of hate God. So like they don't believe in him, but they hate him, kind of thing. But yeah, like I guess it'd be spiritual. I don't believe in anything, but there might be something, I guess.
Well, I don't even know what to call myself, because like I believe that there's a higher power, but I also believe that there's a high dark power too. So like there's like the good and bad, I guess.
Yeah, well, I guess like from Christianity's viewpoint, that's the same thing, and I think for most religions that's the same way. Like there's okay, so in Christianity there's God, that's the high good, and then there's sin. Like there's no, like Satan's bad, but he's not equal with God. He's still created, so he's still like garbage tier, I guess, compared to God. God's God tier, obviously, and Satan's garbage tier. Like there's still this big bad force, but it's not like something that's making us do bad. It's like everyone does bad, kind of thing.
Oh, okay. So wait, which one is the man? Probably gonna sound dumb, but whatever. It's no dumb questions around here.
After
So like the story about Adam and Eve. Which religion is that? Is that
That's
Christianity?
Christianity, yeah, or Judaism too. It's in the first book of Genesis, so anybody holds to that. Like Islam kind of holds to that too. So like Islam, Judaism, and Christianity, kind of maybe Mormonism, maybe Jehovah's Witness. They're kind of iffy on that.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I just wanted to ask because I remember when the bringing it back to that dude who was like free will with the Satan Church, I guess. He told me that story, if you look into it, it's it's fabricated, I guess. I think that's the right word. Like it's they tell you their story, but not the true story.
Not his side.
That's what
Yeah.
he told me, and I was like, okay, what's the true story? And he said that it was Adam and Lilith first, and then I guess Lilith became evil or something, and God like threw her away, so now she became the first demon, and then he made Eve, and then bam, like that was the rest of the story. Like that's what he told me, and I was like, well, what does that have to do with like anything? Like, I just wondered, like, okay,
Like you just added something, but you didn't tell me the true story. Yeah.
yeah. He was just
Yeah.
like, well, that's the first demon, and I'm like, oh, all right.
You're hoping for something a little more than that, huh?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I was just kind of thrown off by what he was telling me. I was
because
like,
I don't know exactly what he believes, but I know some people who are like Satanists or whatever. They think the Adam and Eve part is like because the way the Bible presents it is you have Adam and Eve, like they're in the garden, and God says, you can eat of any tree or any fruit of the trees, right? You can eat any of that.
oh
You
yeah,
can
but
hang out with the
that
animals.
one
But
tree,
there's
huh?
one, yeah, there's
Yeah.
one tree in the middle, which is the tree of knowledge of good and evil. And the whole reason he puts that is to show free will, right? So he's basically putting something bad, so you have the option to do bad. Because if you have the option to do bad, then you have true free will, right? So that's why it's there. Some people are like, why is it even there? But like, that's the point. So you're not a robot because you have the ability to choose. So it really basically he puts that, and then Satan comes as a serpent. And he's like, hey, Eve, eat this fruit. And she's like, nah, I can't eat it. God said no to. And he's like, well, didn't God say you can have any fruit? And she's like, it's kind of interesting. And he's like,
Oh yeah, I remember
yeah.
this.
So then he's like, but like, this is the part that they believe the most is he says, as soon as you eat it, you're not going to die like God said. You're going to become like gods. And so a lot of people who are like follow after Satan, they're like, no, he's the liberator. He helped us have free will. But I mean, we already had free will in the garden. That's the whole point of the tree. But like, so they don't see it as a bad thing. They see it as a good thing that he did that he freed us from God, kind of stuff. But that's kind of what they believe.
Yeah, it's so weird because like when you started explaining it, I could just like see it. I don't know, like when I hear stories, I could see it. It's pretty weird. But I can just imagine a snake and shit, like oh eat the apple. Like
he's all talking to them. They don't get bothered by it. Like, oh, talking snake, dude.
yeah, because
It's
didn't
normal.
wasn't a like in that story, didn't the serpent have legs and then like God took away his legs or something?
It doesn't say if it has legs. It basically just says now you're going to be on your belly. So like before, either it was like standing up like the whole time, or maybe it was walking around. Maybe it was flying. Who knows? But like he's like, hey, now you're going to be on the ground. Yeah.
Mm, dang. Well, before we wrap up, I do have a question since you've studied a lot of religions. I'm curious to see what your answer is. It's a switch up. It's a big switch up.
Yeah, I'm ready.
But in religion, right? In religion, I went to a Christian church before, so yeah, my friend told me that he believes that in the Bible they talk about aliens. Is that a real thing? Because like you went to church your whole life. Is that something like do they talk about some sort of possibility, or does it like I know they don't straight up say, yeah, UFO came down and they gave us
Yeah.
cows and now we have cow. Like I don't know.
There, dude.
Like does it have like some sort of I don't know, some
Okay.
messages?
like in the Bible, it does talk about aliens, but it's like like illegal aliens. You know what I'm saying? Like that's what it when it says the word aliens, it's talking about outsiders, like just normal people. But
Oh yeah.
so the Bible doesn't talk about aliens at all. But what it does talk about is this is okay. So this is kind of what I believe, I guess, is that it talks about Satan, and it talks about the people who follow after him. It says that if Satan has been it says marvel not, for Satan has been transformed into an it can transform himself into an angel of light, right? He can appear to be this good light figure that, like, so like some people like, oh, Satan's this evil demon who's kind of creepy and whatever. Like, no, it's like he can appear to be good and look beautiful and whatever. And so like don't be deceived that the people who follow after him can also appear to be good. And so it kind of, and you look at descriptions of angels in like Daniel, I think it is, and it talks about like great balls of fire, or like that's why in the Bible, when angels talk to people, they're like, "Fear not, I'm a messenger of God," because people are scared of them. They look creepy and like they're scary. But so a lot of
Aren't they
times,
like perceived as really huge and big or something like that?
yeah, but it's like so they're it describes them as like balls of light, or like balls of like basically like kind of they're like these light beings. That's kind of how it describes them. So when you look at alien encounters, like you look at people who've had UFO sightings, it's weird because they usually never see a ship, or they never see an actual alien. Or if they do, the aliens are always reptilian, which is kind of weird. But what they always see is they always see a ball of light, and they see a ball of light that's able, like military guys have talked about, like, oh, I was flying in my F-16 or whatever, and I saw this thing on the radar, and it was going faster than any vehicle that exists, and it made a right turn. Like that's not possible. You have to slow down, and like bank it or whatever.
Yeah.
But it just went, and so that means it's not bound by gravity. It's not bound by like space and time or whatever. So if you look at that and you look at demons, or angels and demons being spiritual beings, well, being spiritual, like they're not tied to like the physical reality, so they can be outside of that. Like the ball of light that you said that was in your room, kind of thing. Like, how's it doing that? Like, what's propelling it? It's like, well, it's spiritual. It's like it's a different plane of existence that's kind of like interlapping with ours, like this, but we just can't see it. So the way I see the aliens are that they're not real. Like there's no life on other planets, but there are beings that can seem so extraterrestrial because they're spiritual. They're not material, so we like don't understand it. And that's why everyone always sees these balls of light, because they're just seeing, demons or angels or whatever. But yeah, so it doesn't talk about aliens for sure, but I think it kind of alludes to that.
Oh, okay. One more before we wrap up, because you kind of touched on it a little bit. Because my next question was going to be, do you believe in aliens? Like, do you believe that there's other people like us and other like a different galaxy, different planet? But also, do you think that if something were to pop up, like let's say right now we end the call, and then you turn around, I don't know, you stretch or whatever, and then you hear something like shake in the living room, all crazy, then you go over there, and there's this thing, I guess like a being, and he says that I'm an angel, and he tells you his name. But would you believe him? What if you look like an alien? It could be an alien.
All right.
Like, would you believe that guy?
Okay, so the first one, I don't think there's any life on other planets. I mean, we haven't even discovered life, and we've been like pretty far into like our galaxy, and I think we've even almost gotten to the next galaxy over or whatever. So like, it seems like there's no life anywhere else besides here. And in the Bible, if there is other life, it's either not intelligent or God doesn't care about it, because basically, like in John 3:16, everybody knows, for God so loved the world that He gave His only begotten Son, that whosoever believes in Him should not perish but have everlasting life. That's only to human beings. Like God died for humans, and that's it. So like, if there's other life, and He just doesn't care about them, or either that, or there, it doesn't seem like there is other life, and I don't think there is, honestly. But if someone came down to answer your crazy question, dude, if I turned around and someone came down and was like, I'm an angel, like, it depends. It depends. Like, okay, I just saw him appear out of nowhere, and he's like this angel of light. I'd probably be terrified, honestly. I'd be like, what the heck? What are you? And
yeah, I think everybody would be scared as hell.
Yeah. But like you said, like, you can feel, is it good or is it bad? I think you can kind of sense that. And like, because, okay, this is a little tangent, but like in Islam, Muhammad found an angel. He went to a cave, and an angel came to him and grabbed him and like held him 3 times and said, recite, recite. and he was terrified. So he like goes and runs home. So like that's kind of, if it was that kind of angel, dude, I'm out of here. That's like a bad angel. That's a
Oh
demon.
yeah.
But like, so that's the guy who like told him to Quran. That's where it comes from, this demon or whatever. But like, so and then even like in Mormonism, there's an angel that showed up to Moroni, showed up to like the Joseph Smith or whatever, and he's like, "Hey, dude." So like, I think it's, I would probably believe it's an angel, but I'd be worried if it's a bad angel, you know.
Yeah. Well,
What
dang.
about you? What would
That's
you do?
interesting. What, the being in the room?
Yeah, he comes in the room. He's like, "I'm an angel." Are you gonna believe him, or are you gonna be like, "No, dude,
Dude,
I'm
I'd be
going to
kind of
sleep"?
scared. Maybe after I freak out for a bit and like run to the next room. If
Yeah.
he's still there, then I'll just be like, I'll probably just ask him like, all right, prove it. Prove it right now. If you don't, I'm popping you. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like
Mhm.
prove it, or I don't believe you, bro. You know, because you would
What if he's just faking you?
like what if you, I don't even know how I would react, to be honest. If I saw something other than human, I don't know if I'll pass out. I don't know if like
Huh?
I
Honestly,
really
huh?
don't know. Like, but if I was composed and I was able to ask something, I would
Mhm.
ask him or her or it to just prove it. So like do something right now, like we'll go outside or something and like you catch a bird, make it die, make it come back to, I don't know, make it come back to life. I don't
I
even know
just
how he would prove it. If you just did some wild shit, I'd be like, all
You just
right.
tell him, hey, just go like through the roof and come back, and like, I don't know.
Yeah, I guess it's kind of like, yeah, I guess, I mean, that thing can do anything, and you'll probably think, oh, okay. Yeah, I
Yeah.
guess I would probably just have to go off what you said, like the energy thing, because
Uh-huh.
maybe I would just ask, like, why are you here? Like, what are you? You know, and
I,
then if they don't want to answer it, then I'll be scared because,
I think it comes down to belief, honestly. It's like doesn't because I think for us as humans, we're always like there's always an explanation, right? Like for you, like the juice box fell over. I'm sure part of you was like, dude, there's an earthquake, I didn't feel it, or like maybe I had it on the edge and maybe it just tilted so much, or the knock on the door, you're like, oh, dude, maybe something fell and just knocked it at the right moment. Like I think we can always come up with an explanation, but
yeah,
eventually, like it's either, I mean, it comes down to you. You're gonna believe it or not. You can always ask for more. It's like in a courtroom, they'll be like, um, we believe he's
excuse me.
guilty. We believe he's guilty without reasonable doubt, which is it plausible that there's doubt? Sure. It's possible that he's innocent, but all the evidence looks like he's guilty. Like I don't have a reasonable doubt, you know. So, and that's
Yeah,
kind of the way I would see it. It's like, yeah, I can always keep asking him questions, but it's like, is it reasonable to keep on asking him questions, or should as it comes to a point like you're either going to believe or you're just going to deny it?
yeah, it's true. Because if you believe it, like if he starts talking about stuff that's familiar to you and what you've studied, then maybe you'll just be like, oh, okay, yeah, he's telling the truth. But if you're someone like me who doesn't really know anything about that, you'd probably be like, yeah, dude, get out of
Like,
here.
how do I know? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
Well,
that's like
then,
okay. That's the whole point of the Bible. It's like is if the whole point of studying for is like to know. So how do you like what's the it's like a ruler, How do I know the line is straight? Well, I put the ruler up to it. So it's like with the Bible and having studied all these other religions, like how do I know what's true and what's not? How do I know the evidence? How do I know that the historical evidence for Jesus rising again? How do I know that's true? Like so it's just all about finding the ruler to match everything up. Okay, does it line up with this? Does it line up with history? Does it line up with science? So I guess for that moment, for me, like if he said, "Oh yeah, follow me, I'm God," really, dude, I'm like, "Hey, I got the ruler right here. Let me find out what's going on." Yeah.
yeah. Well, dang, man, this has been great. I appreciate you and your time. I appreciate you, talking about everything from creative process to even like religion perspective and everything.
Yeah, dude. All right, thanks, man.
All right, man. Thanks again. Peace.
See you, dude.
Have a good day, man.